Okay, okay. I'm in the living room. My girlfriend is watching Love Island, and I will not disturb that. I will not disturb that. I'll be sleeping on the couch if I disturb that. But I was watching the NBA Finals, and the Spurs survived. What a series we've got so far. The Knicks almost came back too. They really almost came back. But man, the Knicks walked into San Antonio. They took two. Spurs had to respond. They had a must-win game, and my God, did they win! It was a pretty close game. Even when it was like the Spurs by 8, I really was like, I don't know. I don't know. It felt like the Knicks would go on runs where they just weren't missing anything. Anything. Spurs had plenty of mental errors that they have had all series long. I've seen plenty of those. We had some rush shots, we had bad shots, we had panic shots, but they survived. Missed threes, didn't matter. At one point, the Knicks were shooting 70 some percent from the field with 42 points in a quarter, and the Knicks lost. Spurs survived. What a game. What a game. I think Dylan Harper is turning into one of my favorite non-Celtics players. He's just the way that anytime a shot goes up, he comes absolutely flying in. Oh my God, where does he come from? Whoever his box out assignment is doing a horrible job. Every single board, he comes shooting in, like just shooting. Victor, what an efficient game. I mean, Cat was still giving him insane D, but he like it was just efficient. It was one of those things where just every shot was meaningful, and none of the shots were like forced bad shots. Like they were all good shots. I mean, I was very impressed by the defense the most from the Spurs. I think they've had good defense the entire playoffs, the entire season. They've had good defense, but between the speed of having the ability to have three guards on the floor pretty much at all times, you can have Castle, Harper, and Fox, and then you still got Vassell, you still got Champagny, and you've got Kellen Johnson. Like they can all move. There's no one slow. And then Victor, I mean, yeah, he's 7'5", he's not the fastest player in the league, but for someone that's 7'5", like he can move his feet. He's also lengthy. Like they're just able to cover so many holes. There's a hole in the defense, they can cover it so fast. Makes it so hard. And they kept mentioning on the broadcast too, Brunson had a big load on his shoulders, and the Spurs were like, beat us then. Beat us then. They were showing him doubles, even on single coverage. They were just like, you are going into our chest if you want to get to that basket. There was nothing easy. Brunson had a good game. I think he ended, I think, 10 for 24? 10 for 24, 31 points, something like that. 8 free throws. Don't quote me on that. Something like that. He had a good game. Josh Hart came out. And when Josh Hart is shooting like that, usually the Knicks win the game. When Josh Hart comes out and he hits 4 for 5 from deep, usually the Knicks win the game. But afterwards, he went 0 for 4. Start bricking everything. Landry Shamet, who has been the New York sweetheart all playoffs long. Don't know where he went. Defensively, he was fine. He was all right. There was nothing really like too crazy that I was like super like, oh yeah. Offensively, he was not there. Not there. He hit a 3. He took a drive late on Wemby that just the second that ball went in the air, everybody knew that was getting sent. Wemby, the easiest things he's ever seen, just swatted that thing off the backboard. I think Cat offensively wasn't what he had been the last 2 games, and that hurt for sure. OG Anunoby though picked it up. OG Anunoby could not miss. That dude could not miss a shot. I don't know. He's got to have the weirdest animations, dude. Like he goes up for the dunk, and it looks uncomfortable. And he was just playing. He was driving. He had no fear of Victor. Brunson continued to have no fear of Victor. There's a lot of times on this that Victor would get severely out of position. And as great of a defensive player as he is, I mean, he is the defensive player of the year. There are mistakes like that where it's just a young guy. It's his 3rd season. It's just a young guy. they got bailed out crazy. I want to talk about that actually. It's 2 minutes left. It's 2 minutes left. And the Knicks are starting to mount a little bit, come back going. Spurs, all series long, have not been able to find offense late in the fourth quarter. They just haven't. They don't have a guy to go to for that, apparently. Victor does the thing where the shot clock comes down and he's like, I need the ball, I need the ball, I need the ball. He gets the ball. He doesn't have a dribble package really, so he's just kind of doing a whole bunch of nothing. Cat is playing so far up on him, he can't get anywhere, and he panics, tosses it to Castle, who is way back. Castle has no choice but to fire it, and it just sinks right in. That was such a bailout that they needed. They needed that bailout so bad. And then, you know, they're up by 3. There's like 30 some seconds on shot clock, and they go straight to De'Aaron Fox. This is why they got De'Aaron Fox, because he just calmly takes a good look, mid-range pull-up, right in, game sealed. Game sealed. Honestly, I wanted the Spurs to win this one. I don't know. I was the last 2 games, I was like, oh man, the Knicks. Oh man, the Knicks. And now I'm gonna sound like a crazy bandwagon because so far every time the team that wins is apparently the team I wanted to win. But I just the Boston fan came out of me. I was like, ooh, the Spurs. The Knicks can't go up 3-0 in the NBA Finals. I don't want to see that anymore. We have a series. I mean, next game at MSG is going to be another must-win game. Same way you can't go down 3-0, you can't go down 3-1. You can't. There was a couple little scares. I thought Wemby fell weird. Same thing with Brunson a couple times where I was a little worried that they weren't going to get up, but they bounced right back up. I loved the level of physicality we've been seeing all series. It does feel like that once we get later into the game, they start calling more things to be like, okay, guys, calm down. But I've been loving the physicality. There really wasn't any calls this game that I really felt were like horrendous. I'm sure New York fans are going to have different opinions, but there's nothing I felt that was crazy. Both coaches were very smart with their challenges. It was overall a great basketball game. I almost said perfect. The Spurs did finally, I think, something that they weren't able to do in the first 2 series. In that first half, they were actually able to create like good separation from the Knicks. Because even when the Spurs in the first 2 games were on fire and it felt like all momentum was with San Antonio, they couldn't get too much separation. The Knicks were always 5 behind. Did they lose that 12-point lead? Yeah, but they won the game at the end. But having that kind of separation lets it so when the Knicks get to that point where they score 42 and a quarter on 73% shooting, that you can eat it a little bit because you created a decent gap in between you and the other team. Now, if it was a 5-point game, this is a completely different game. It's completely different if it was a 5-point lead. And that was something that the Spurs needed to do. They needed to be able to create that separation. They finally were able to get that in this game. I think Julian Champagnie played great once again. I'm still so hung up on Dylan Harper. He's just like, I was sitting there and I'm like, you need to play Dylan Harper in the clutch, and I don't know who you take out because Dylan Harper has to go in. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, do you run small, take Vassell out? Because you can't take Fox out. Castle was smothering Jalen Brunson. You can't take him out. And also Castle ends up hitting that humongous 3 for them. Dylan Harper, dude. Dylan Harper. I'm saying if everyone knows that he's a great young player and one of the best young players, if he was on another NBA team that didn't have Victor Wembanyama, he would be like the future. You know, like you would be looking at him and be like, oh yeah, this is one of the future faces of the league over here. But no, he's on the team with Victor Wembanyama. He's coming off the bench on the team with Victor Wembanyama. Gritty game, good win. It was loud in New York. The finals at MSG did not disappoint. They did not disappoint at all. Not at all. I'm excited for Game 3. I can't wait for it. I do hope the Spurs can calm down a little bit. There was a lot of really bad forced shots. They had He had one where I think Castle forced like a really quick bad layup, and then the immediate next possession, Fox did the exact same thing. And it was like, guys, they slowed it down at the end, which you have to do. You're in the lead, run the clock, but they slowed it down at the end, and they felt so much better offensively when they slowed it down. I know last game the Knicks sped them up a lot, and I wonder if coming into this they're like, oh well, we need to play sped up too. But they look better slowed down. They really did. I am starving, and there's no AC in my living room, so I'm gonna go eat and go into my room with the AC. But man, I'm excited for Game 3. I've been loving this series so far. I hope we get 7 of these. I really do hope we get 7 of these. I hope they keep getting called the way they've been called. I've been loving the physicality. We got a Victor Wembanyama like crazy game, but he ended with like 34, something like that. 34, 11, like 4 blocks, 6 assists. I don't know the exact stat line. I'm in a room with a couch. I don't know, something like that. So a great Victor Wembanyama game. You feel bad if you're the Knicks and you lost with a great Josh Hart game and a fantastic OG Anunoby game. You need more from Cat offensively. Defensively, again, I still have him as my Finals MVP because what he's been doing defensively is nuts. You can't even blame him for most of those Victor points. I think the Victor Wembanyama like lob might actually be the most broken play in basketball. You know how every 2K there's like some cheesy play? Remember like, what was it, 2K19 where it's just baseline cheese, and if you just ran on the baseline, like you would get a bucket every single time because you just never will go out of bounds and you just like force your way to the basket. The Victor Wembanyama lob is unstoppable. At one point they had 4 Knicks on him. They just threw up the lob and he just like contorted and just boop, right in the basket. I don't know how you stop it. You can throw it so high up and he can still get it. I mean, he jumps and his face is like looking at the box. And he's barely jumping. Like he's barely jumping up to get these things. Yeah, I hope we get 7 of these. For sure. For sure.